Get into the trenches, dig into your purpose, and fire up your life's fulfillment. The Ambitious Vet Podcast starts now.
What's going on, Ambitious Vet? Welcome back to another weekly episode of the Ambitious Vet Podcast, where we seek to provide you with the golden grenades you need to break through to new levels of satisfaction, fulfillment, and success in your life post-military. Well, today, as I was talking inside the Facebook group, I believe a couple weeks ago, I want to come in and do a solo episode that I think will help empower you to be calm in the midst of placing yourself in high stakes and high rewarding situations in life post-military. There's no, confusion element to it. Us military members that have served in the uniform, we're very calm in chaotic situations compared to our civilian counterparts, for the most part, right? So the rest of this episode is going to be diving into what does it take to create high stakes and high rewarding situations in life post-military. It was inspired from a Facebook post that I posted a couple weeks ago where I was able to, after a conference that was being held in Dallas, Fort Worth area, I was able to gain enough curiosity from an angel investor to fly out with his brother-in-law, who just sold over 200 T-Mobile stores in the acquisition with Sprint. For those of you guys who don't know, T-Mobile just bought out Sprint, which is, I think, good for everyone's service capabilities. I know it has been for mine. However, they flew out, and I had to get myself situated, or squared away, as us military members would call it, to be able to provide a good opportunity that would be worthwhile to potentially close over $300,000 worth of capital to help the Ambitious Vet Network hit the next big business benchmark. Well, it all sounds good, right? But there's a lot of stuff that builds up into getting to that point. And I wanted to make sure I was able to kind of just peel back the onion a little bit and let you know a little bit around what I think it takes to be put in situations like this, not just in business, but in every area of life. If you're either a woman or a man that listens to this, wanting to marry the opposite sex, or if you are looking to marry the same sex, hey, we don't judge here. That's a high stake, high reward situation. How do you put yourself in that position to be able to make that happen? If you are focused on career, putting yourself into promotional conversations or situations where you want to grow, but you don't know how to put yourself in those situations, or attract those opportunities into your life. Or, maybe it's just you that's looking at a different area of life that you just feel completely intimidated on because you lack either the knowledge, the experience, the clarity, the relationships, you name it, on what it takes to put yourself in those situations. I hope that this episode helps bridge that gap. So I broke it down pretty much in mental, emotional, and practical knowledge. I'm going to share a tip, and now I'm going to share somewhat of a quick 2-minute story on each, and I hope that you find value of this, which I'm pretty sure you will. Let's start with mental, right? To prepare yourself to get into high stakes and high rewarding situations in life post-military. And if you go back, you've probably already put yourself in those situations, and it's probably aligned with being prepared to gain a lot of feedback, right? But make sure that you're getting clear enough or are clear enough on your values, goals, and objectives so the feedback doesn't sway you off your path, right? How many of you that's listening to this right now, I know for myself that if you're constantly getting feedback every single day from different value systems, people that have different goals, different agendas, just different up to different things in life, sometimes it can be overwhelming, and you're just gonna get into this paralysis of over analysis, right? So your job is to know where that next lighthouse is and understand if the feedback is actually relevant to where you're going, right? So making sure you have that awareness. Here's a quick story. Back in 2016, I was doing door-to-door sales for a telecommunications contracting company. And, I did that for about 6 to 8 months, right? And I got to a point where I got really good at it because I failed 100, what I think that law is, you fail 1,000 times, you actually learn or start becoming unconsciously competent at something. Well, I was starting. I wouldn't say I was already there, but I was close. I was close to being there, right? So, but I knew I didn't want to be doing that, right? But I was getting good at it, right? So, whenever I finally decided to leave, 6 to 8 months into that job, I was getting feedback from my sales manager around, you're 3 months away from potentially becoming a sales trainer and not having to knock on 100 doors a day and, closing, worrying about if you're going to close a contract a day or whatever the metrics were we were tracking back then, right? And the feedback was like, wow, that's something that I could really see myself doing. However, I would still be working 10 hours a day for 6 days a week. And it just wasn't the lifestyle I wanted. Hence, be prepared to get both negative and positive feedback. However, your job is to be so self-aware to understand what your values, goals, and objectives are for your own life. So I kindly said no thank you, walked away with a positive relationship for, who knows, 10 years from now, me and that sales manager may start a business. I may need a job. He may need a job. We ended that. We closed that relationship out with integrity and both understanding where we lied. And I think that's so important. So hopefully you get that lesson. Stay course on your mission, but use feedback as an opportunity to see something from another perspective. Always stop and reflect on it and kind of see their perspective and see if it's relevant to the lighthouse you're pointing down. So that's mental. Now let's move on to emotional, right? We don't talk a lot about that in the veteran community. Not enough. With our recent qualitative research study we just released with University of Texas, San Antonio, the 2-year qualitative research study, we hone in on a lot of the emotional intelligence aspect of self-actualizing or reaching your full potential after just getting your basic needs met post-military, right? So it's important to not only process information mentally, but also process your emotional, process your emotions, right? And I think even for myself, I'm still learning how to do that every day of my marriage, my family life, and stuff like that, where I have to be more in my emotions. However, back to this. The tip here is allow yourself to feel the disappointment, uncomfortability, and the uncertainty. But also, here's the kicker. I want you to make sure you're writing this down or listening to this. Trust yourself that you have the human capital, the knowledge, experience, skills to survive the situation, right? There's so many times where we were in the military where we were just like, holy shit, am I going to get through this situation? I know if you're listening to this, you're thinking of that moment right now. I'm thinking of one right now in pre-deployment training out in Mojave Desert of sweating on those cots. And damn, am I going to get through the next, 2 weeks of this without, without dying from heat exhaustion, right? Or whatever the consequence is, right? Allow yourself to feel the uncomfortability of the uncertainty, but trust yourself that you have what it takes. Focus on the knowledge, experience, and the skills you already have, and focus on those, and that will keep you grounded, right? Prime example of this, I shared a military example just now, but also post-military, right, is when I chose to actually walk away from a lucrative career as a sales trainer to grow as a entrepreneur, which I had never done before. I didn't know a life without some kind of institutionalized, this is the roadmap to success, just follow it, that organizational type structure. So when I chose to walk away from that lucrative career, it was a complete emotional roller coaster ride where a lot of the days since 2019 have been, am I letting someone down? And feeling those feelings of feeling like I'm letting like my family down. Also feeling, am I really built to build something like this? Or am I better off served as like a consultant or something like that? So going through those thoughts, but also feeling those emotions of like defeat and doubt and stuff like that a lot of us, we don't allow ourselves to feel, which doesn't allow us to actually know when those feelings are coming up and when to let them go. So my lesson here for you, Ambitious Vet, is to expand your emotional capacity to feel more stress and still find the trust in your abilities through mentors, advisors, and superiors. Because remember, we're talking about not just business, career, but also life, right? You have superiors in life. You have mentors, hopefully, a father figure or someone you look up to that can remind you of your abilities, but also allow yourself to feel those emotions and just let them go. Don't resist them, right? So that's the emotional side of things. Now, we're going to move into the practical knowledge side of this thing, right? So how do you get yourself into high stakes and high rewarding situations in life post-military? Well, practical knowledge is have the right weapon systems in place. Just really putting yourself in those high stakes and high rewarding situations, can actually be detrimental if you don't have the right weapons to be effective, right? You think about it, if you've ever deployed to any, duty station, like if it was Okinawa, Japan, or if it was Afghanistan, Iraq, wherever your deployment was, quote unquote, right? If you didn't have the right weapon systems or just supply gear in place to survive those environments, you probably weren't going to be the most effective person, were you? Right? So now back to having these two angel investors come out and spending 2.5 hours with them pitching the future of the Ambitious Vet Network, where, what we've done, where we're at, and where we're going. I had to have, enough content, enough information, enough planning done to, have them be there for 2.5 hours. But also I needed a venue. I needed a pitch deck, a tool to kind of present something in a professional way. I needed a script to back that pitch deck so I could be polished and knowing how to hit critical points on each slide. I needed a company one-pager, and I also needed technology set up at that venue so each and every one of our team members could actually come in that were virtually in 5 different other states that were actually able to come in and communicate through Zoom why they're a part of the Ambitious Vet Network and where they see it going, and helping me answer Q&A on the spot as I was in the hot seat. Not to mention, we had the 18-month plan printed out on the conference table, the pro forma. If you don't know what a pro forma is, it's the financial projections of the next 5 years of the company and just our assumptions of where we'll be. It's primarily assumptions. And then a data room of inventory of all the accomplishments, contracts, just all the traction, everything that we've pretty much done all in one Google Drive place. So the golden grenade here, if I could get it out of my damn mouth, is to apply this in career, happiness, money, personal growth, communication, relationships, wherever you feel stuck in right now. Focus on the environment that you want your high stakes and your high reward situation to be. What are the tools you need to communicate in an effective way, right? Make sure you're planning, but also have an inventory of your accomplishments, your rewards, goals that you've already hit in your past, and how you did it. This is how you allow yourself to step in to high stake, high reward situations, but also knock it out of the freaking park. Ambitious Vet, I hope that this provides value in your life. I hope this was as practical as I could potentially make it for you. But also remember that everything begins and ends in the mind. And if you're not clear in your mind, you're never going to see the practical action steps to actually execute violently, as we were so taught in the military. Ambitious Vet, thanks again for joining us this week. If you did find value from this, just do us a favor here. Make sure you're sharing it with your network. Post it on your social media. Hey, just found this podcast. Just got this one golden grenade for the podcast. Subscribe here on your favorite listener app. It would greatly just attribute to our mission. And that really is to help ambitious vets like yourself self-actualize in the marketplace post-military. Until next time, Ambitious Vet, hold the vision and trust the process. Take care.
The Ambitious Vet is available on all popular podcast platforms. Go to vettrainingcoaching.com to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow vets.
Hey, Ambitious Vet, before you go, one thing I mentioned inside the show was our recent release of our groundbreaking qualitative research study that took us 2 years to compile data from 300 ambitious vets just like you in 31 states in partnership with the University of Texas San Antonio to help solve the billion-dollar transition problem. You see, people like you and me that have gotten out of the uniform eventually realized that immediate transitional tools like resume writing, interview prep, and job fairs, they expire towards what really has us feeling like we're on purpose, having the ideal career that we want, but also feeling like, our relationships, our marriage, everything is on point, right? So this qualitative research study not only breaks down what the education gap is within the veteran community and us bringing that there, but also it's breaking down into real life scenarios from this deep technology that the University of Texas Academics Innovation Center, I know it's a lot of freaking buzzwords, it's hard for me to keep up with as well, helps break it down to real life scenarios where you may identify yourself in right now that may leave you feel disempowered or resigned in an area of life that you could feel empowered in and actually living the happy life you want in that area. If that's you, or you're just a mid-level manager as well, not just, but a mid-level manager that wants to help fuel the education gaps, that's going to help, solve the retention problems within your organization, go to ambitiousvetnetwork.com, download your free copy of our qualitative research study, and also share it with your network. Let's solve this billion-dollar transition problem once and for all.